What's up, my friends in film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. The Five Nights at Freddy's movies have been much different from the games. Still entertaining. I think both of them are. But this second one, man, it's got a lot of hate, and I don't quite understand some of it. Maybe some, definitely not all of it. But I've got two of the people that I trust the most to talk about this whole thing tonight. The first one is, of course, my head right here. What's up, buddy?
I'm sore because, I work for a living like some sort of chump, but that's the struggle, isn't it? Because I also want to do things like have fun, like going to Comic-Con and stuff like that, which I'll probably sprinkle bits of that here and there. So in my now that I'm 33 and I've reached geriatric age, it's fucking rough on you. I'm telling you what, I think all three of us sat down one day and we made a lot of noises just on the way, slinking down the wall as we hit the ground. And I don't want to talk about how we got back up on our feet, but still here, still alive, so I'm ready to go. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I tell you what,
Sorry.
I felt really good until I hit 40. I swear to God, I woke up the morning of my 40th birthday and it's like everything hurt. Ankles hurt, knees hurt, everything hurt. And I was like, wait a minute, it's not supposed to be like this. But of course, tonight, joined by Jeremy's better half, the expert Five Nights at Freddy's lore theorist, everything you need to know about Five Nights at Freddy's. She's your gal. What's up, girl?
Hello. Yes, I am here. Also, just back from Comic-Con. Matthew Lillard was there. We didn't get to meet him, unfortunately. And Skeet Ulrich was there. Unfortunately, did not have that kind of money to meet them, but they were there too. So we were in the same building, which was super cool. But yes, very excited to talk about this movie. Have seen some of the hate, but I'm not in agreement with that. I really enjoyed this movie, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Let's get right down to the review. We are, of course, here to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's 2. It is a 2005 American supernatural horror film based on the video game series Five Nights at Freddy's, created by Scott Cawthon and the sequel to the 2023 film adaptation. The film was directed by Emma Tammi and written by Cawthon. Josh Hutcherson, Elizabeth Lawley, Piper, Rubio, Theodus Crane, and Matthew Lillard all reprised their roles from the previous film, with Freddy Carter, Skeet Ulrich, Wayne Knight, Mckenna Grace, and Teo Briones joining the cast. This movie is set a year after the first film. It follows Abby Schmidt as she reconnects with her animatronic friends, leading to the events that reveal the origins of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Like, received some negative reviews from critics, though it was a commercial success, so far grossing about $109 million worldwide against a budget on the high end estimated to be about $51 million. On Rotten Tomatoes, so far, 12% of 81 critics' reviews are positive, with the website's consensus review reading, quote, a step down from the original, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 goes through the motions with all the grace of a malfunctioning animatronic. A scathing general consensus, to say the least. I'll go to you first, Jeremy. Give me your quick thoughts on the film before we get into the deep discussion.
So I have a new merch idea. Probably a more family-friendly version and one that's not so much. I would say it just says don't listen to the critics, or in my personal opinion, fuck the critics. I love how it's a success and they don't want to admit it's a success because it's not made for you. I know that's a thing that we get thrown around on the internet a lot, where it's like, maybe it just wasn't made for you. I'm like, no, it wasn't. It's not fucking Daniel Day-Lewis like actually turning himself into an animatronic because he's that much of a fucking method actor. Like, it's not Oscar bait movie. Like, it's not. It's for fans of the game that, like, you want to go and you enjoy this because it's something that you're interested in, and it's not so much like the games, but it's enough like it. As I'm sure she will explain, because like my tiny peanut brain, as Chica would say, there's absolutely nothing going on in my head apparently. Like, I even understand it. It's kind of its own universe, its own thing. But I feel like the consensus is like, I don't understand thing, therefore I hate thing. I'm like, Okay, and it just wasn't made for you. You're not a fan of the games, then it's okay. Like, there's this crazy thing you can do as in, not watch it. I know that's your job to watch movies, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I love the disparity between that's what comes up first, always front page center, boom. Hey, it's got 12% of Rotten Tomatoes. I'm like, yeah, but click on it. 12% for critics and like 87 for audience. So again, I will roundabout back to fuck what the critics think. And also, like we've said, go see a movie for yourself. Make your own opinion. That's what I say.
Well, let me go to Rachel now, since she's the expert. You know all the lore. We're going to talk a little bit later as to how this compares to some of the stuff from the video games, the books, and whatnot that you've been exposed to. But just this movie alone, what do you think?
I mean, I really enjoyed it. I think that it really blended a lot from that first movie into the second movie. I think the storyline went really well. And I did enjoy how it did bring things from the game. It brought things from the book, and it also has its own storyline. But we'll get into more of that later, I'm sure. But I like how these universes are similar but different. I'll talk just a little bit about that. Just how each of these universes are sort of the same, but they're also sort of different. So the movie universe is its own universe within Five Nights at Freddy's. The game universe is its own universe within Five Nights at Freddy's. And the book universe is its own universe in Five Nights at Freddy's. So keeping that in mind as we move forward is important as well. They're all Five Nights at Freddy's, but they're also all their own universe. So I like how this movie has expanded upon its own universe, because you've got you've got Vanessa being Afton's daughter, which is unique to this universe. I like how they have expanded on that story more in this movie. I think that story continuing on in this movie was good. I enjoyed that. I think that the way that they've just expanded on the story, I enjoyed overall.
Yeah, I thought it was a good movie. I mean, I didn't leave the theater mad that I spent money to watch it. I thought it was as good as the first one. My only big knock on it is I wanted some things to step up, and I don't think that this movie exceeded the first one by enough to kind of satisfy me at that level. It was a good movie. I mean, the character's good, the acting was good. I get it from my very limited knowledge of Five Nights at Freddy's, which is basically his first movie, and a couple of clips of the video games I've seen on YouTube over the years. But I overall enjoyed it. I just think that we're in one of those times where everybody wants to hate every movie that comes out. I've been bitching about it a lot the last several weeks. Everybody wants to hate every movie. I just don't have time for it. If you think you're gonna hate a movie, just don't waste time going to see it. Let me go see it so I can try to enjoy it without you guys being pricks. But take the online hate as you will. I mean, even Siskel and Ebert got a couple of wrong. They historically hated Star Wars, and look where we are now. 50 years later. But let's get into the spoilery discussion. I don't know if I'm getting pitched to the director or not, so I'll just go to this one. Let's talk about the directorial efforts of Emma Tammi. She does not have a huge resume. She is mostly all about Five Nights at Freddy's, just the first movie in this one, along with another horror Western movie that she had done a while back. It was her first directorial debut, which I've read about. It sounds interesting. But I'll go to you first, Rachel. What do you think of the work of Emma Tammi in this movie? And really maybe the franchise overall, since she's done both the movies.
I've really enjoyed kind of what she's done with it. I like the direction she's taking it in. I mean, it's hard to take, a video game and turn it into a movie. Traditionally, a lot of video games turned into movies. A lot of them have not been that great in the past.
It's been a mixed history.
It's been a mixed history. Exactly. I mean, there have been some really good ones that have come out recently. I mean, look at the Mario movie. I mean, considering that one,
we're
was
getting
great.
part 2.
Yeah, we're getting part 2 of that. I mean, that was a great movie. Compared to the one from the 80s. The live
93.
action
1993.
93, excuse me. The 90s. That was something.
Look. Yes, Frank. I will take that L. That is perfectly acceptable. It's okay. I get it.
Oh, I'll take the L for a bunch of '80s movies. I mean, the '80s gave us Howard the Duck, so I don't have a whole lot of room to talk.
True.
That movie was something.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
you know,
It was a
talking
movie
about
that got filmed.
yeah, it was a movie that got filmed, absolutely. But you know, you've got the mixed video game movies that have come out in the past, you know, as they've gotten, I think, better over the years. I think this is a step in the right direction for video game movies. I think they're getting better, and I think this one is a good one as well. The first one, you know, explaining a lot of that lore to people who may not understand it, I think did a good job. And then this one, leaning a little bit more into those horror elements, I think did a good job. I do wish she would have leaned a little bit more into the horror, being a big horror fan myself. Maybe a little bit more graphic, maybe a little bit more. I get that it is that kids have really gotten into this series, and I understand that kids are going to be watching the movie regardless. So I understand that, you know, there are some limits, but it is a game about animatronics killing, well, not animatronics necessarily, spirits living inside animatronics, killing children. Semantics. It's, you know, I understand there are certain limits you have to put on that in a movie that children are going to go see, because children like the game as well as adults. But I do wish there would have been a few more horror elements in it. But overall, I like the direction she took the movie in overall.
Jeremy, how about you? Again, not a long resume for Emma Tammi, but something we can definitely start to sink our teeth into a little bit. What do you think about her work in this franchise so far?
Sink our teeth into. You don't even realize the pun you just. Oh God, there's a lot of that in this series. Believe me.
Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. You don't
know. I'll first. Yeah, there's not. I'm looking at her. Barely 2 lines of movies. 2 of the biggest things, of course, being both Five Nights at Freddy's movies, and I can't say I've heard of or seen any of these other things. So if all I have to go off of is Five Nights, I do get it as well that, like, yes, it's, you're trying to walk a line between, like, if you really look at this series and you get into the lore, you get into the storyline of what the hell happens, it's kind of genuinely horrifying, honestly. We'll get to this point when we talk about it in the movie, I'm sure, but I'm like, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's that little sound bit of, like, Afton, William, like, screaming at Michael, like, as he's dying or some shit, and it's like, it's chilling as fuck. Just the way he screams, and he's screaming at Michael as he's dying. It's like, Jesus Christ, that's horrifying. Not let alone the fact that, like, you know, these are the spirits of, like, children that he's murdered that are, like, stuffed inside these suits, and they never found them, and now they haunt these animatronics, you know. But yeah, there's some deeply messed up shit in this series. But I get it. Somehow, kids, lols, we like the bear that does the scare. That should be a shirt. I just made that up, actually. But the first one kind of did have the more kid vibe to it, and I want to say, like, yeah, even if you were like, this game came out in like 2014, the original one did. So I'm like, even if you were like 10 years old, now you're like 20 years old, 21 years old by now. I'm like, you're not really kids. I know it has transcended into, you know, there's still young kids that still enjoy this, but yeah, walking that line between the two, it's like, I know why that was everyone's gripe with the first movie, that it wasn't very horror centric like the games were, even if it's just jump scares, you know what I mean? It wasn't quite that, but when I said, I'm like, we're just laying groundwork. And then when I saw trailers for this, I got more excited because I thought, oh, okay, we're actually leaning into more of the actual horror and more of the gruesome stuff with this. And I thought, okay, this will be a little bit better, and it's a little more fitting with the tone of this with the games. Mildly disappointed. I think it opened in 1982. I'm like, if you wait like a year, there's a really iconic moment you could have fucking done. But whatever. I didn't make the movie. Also in 1987, any of my Markiplier fans, trust me, 1987 is an important year for this series too. But whatever, they definitely laid a lot of fucking. Hey, here's probably a third movie. Actually, and technically, you even corrected me. Actually, that could be a fourth movie. I'm like, yeah, there's things that like if you don't know what it means, it's like, oh, they're definitely laying out some sequel stuff here. So a lot of setup in this one, and again, more horror centric, which I can appreciate. And also, I know we'll talk about cast, but here's your me passing the ball for your segue. I mean, having the likes of obviously Matthew Lillard and of course now Skeet Ulrich in this movie, like holy crap. Yeah, I'm excited. So I thought it was at least on par, and we got into more of literally the gritty of this nitty gritty of this fucking franchise. So please keep doing all of the things and all of the bites of 2 particular years. As my references for everybody.
Yeah, one of the things I did notice, like both these movies are very equal in tone and scale and pacing, and I think that does come down to a very wise decision to have the same person direct them both, and hopefully she'll come back to the third one because they're definitely going to make it after the end of this movie. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I do think it's good to have like one person kind of, if you get it, because the first movie I thought was pretty good. So bringing her back for the second made sense, and that's what it kind of let her. If you're gonna make a trilogy out of this, which I imagine that's kind of where it's probably going to end as a trilogy. You never know these days, though. I would be happy to have her do all 3 movies because she does seem to have a good beat on what the general feel for the film universe of Five Nights at Freddy's should be. As much as I would like them to go a little bit more horror and not be so kid-centric and G-rated and kid-related, I do think that she's got a very even way of seeing everything about this. So whatever her plans might be for the third movie, I would say it's going to fit very, very well into everything that we've built over the first 2 films. I thought she did a good job. Actually, I was just reading about the first movie she directed, a movie called The Wind. It's a horror Western, supernatural horror Western movie. And I think it's kind of interesting. Horror and Western is not something you usually see mixed up a lot. So I might have to look that one up to see if it's any good. Just glancing at the plot on Wikipedia, it sounds like it's something I could give a shot. But I do think she's done a very good job with these first 2 films overall. Hopefully she'll get a shot at something bigger. I do wish she would have gone more into the horror. I mean, look, you can kill people on camera without going the Terrifier route and having women cut in half with hacksaws and whatnot. As fun as the visual stuff is, you can still show a great amount of death and a great amount of horror without the blood and spit and ass. And I'm okay with them not being bloody in this movie, but I do want to see more horror-centric stuff. One thing this movie had a couple of that they did not seem to have in the first movie was jump scares. There was a couple of really solid jump scares in this movie that I liked. And I was like, oh, I didn't really get that from the first movie. They did that a little bit better in this movie. But I really did wish that she would lean a little bit more into the horror and not so G-rated. Because the movies are very, very horror. I mean, as much as it's kind of the movie, the characters are, a lot of them, and some of the important ones are kids, but the video game is very dark. It's very horror. It's not G-rated video game at all, from what I understand of it. So why go so G-rated for the movie? I mean, I know it's not a G-rated film. It's like PG whatever. I don't even know what it's rated, but it's like you can get a little aggressive with the horror in this movie and still match what you've got from the video game without making it too, like I said, too Terrifier, without going over the top with the blood and spit and ass. But like I said, I've ultimately enjoyed the first 2 movies, so I can't complain too much about it. But let's talk about the cast now. And I can't complain about anybody from the cast. I can't complain about anybody that they added on. I really like the cast of this film. I'll go to you first, Rachel. What do you think of the cast of the film, and who stood out to you the most?
I really liked the cast of the film. Of course, everybody who returned, I really liked the returning cast. As for the new people, of course, I loved Wayne Knight as the science teacher. He was great. And of course, I loved his death.
Yes,
his death was great.
Yes.
that was hilarious. Very funny. Just want to see what's inside your head.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all. Very funny. And I did also like, who was it? Audrey Lynn Marie as Charlotte. I thought she did a good job as well, playing that kind of sad child. Yes, the crying, not the crying child, but as the sad little girl, as Henry's daughter. She played that part perfectly, I think. The two of them, I think, were my favorite new additions to this movie. The marionette, the puppet, being such an iconic character in the second game, and obviously here in the second movie. I really did like her character a lot as well. Even though it was only that little bit in the first part, really, it really did stick out to me quite a bit.
Jeremy, what did you think of the cast of the film? Who stood out to you the most?
I agree with what she said. I think the core cast of who I guess would be like Vanessa, Abby, and Mike still pretty seamlessly flow into the second movie and hold their characters down pretty well. As for the expanded cast now, as much as my old fogey ass is like, oh my god, Skeet Ulrich is in this movie. I don't even care if he's there for like 30 seconds of screen or whatever the fuck it was. Holy shit, the weight that carries is pretty cool because he's going to be important to this story, of course, being William Afton's business partner with Five Nights at Freddy's. So you do have this duality of like, he was the one who's like, yeah, this is messed up because my daughter got killed, unrightfully so. And of course we know, Matthew Lillard. I don't want to be that person where I'm like, I feel like I was kind of led astray where I'm like, I know the second game is also like a prequel. So I was like, okay, well, maybe we'll get a little more of the backstory, which we kind of did, but not really. But also I'm like, oh, so we're having flashbacks and actually not really. It's lucid dreaming of Matthew Lillard. Not okay. We left him in the springlock suit. I thought, well, I don't know. He said it. He's gonna come back, but yeah, whatever. Mckenna Grace. I'm glad she did Ghostbusters and then came back in this movie to be a Ghostbuster, and then fucking died. That okay. So I hate to be like, yeah, if you saw the trailer, you saw her whole fucking involvement in this movie. Kind of. I mean, she got taken by the marionette, so I guess she I'm assuming she did, did that bit. And oh god. Yeah, Wayne Knight was cool. And as for I know it's just voices, but like some of the animatronics for the toy versions, like we got like Megan Fox, of course, from our own weird little state, we got Matt Pat as Bonnie, which is awesome. I think the guy who played Freddy was actually the one who played Freddy in the game. I believe it was Security Breach. So kind of cool that it was the same guy. For who stands out to me the most, I maybe not stands out, but maybe one that I'm kind of hopeful for is that we did introduce Michael Afton finally, which is huge. And I don't want to be like, I don't know if that was just kind of tacked on because we're like, oh yeah, everyone was probably asking for that. And they're like, oh yeah, by the way, here he is. I'm like, and yeah, because Vanessa's kind of an unreliable narrator, just unreliable person in general. It fits. And yes, he's just been kind of shoved into the security role of the original Five Nights at Freddy's restaurant. And just, we've just now realized that. I'm like, okay, whatever, fine. Yeah, that's a pretty important character. So I'm kind of hopeful that's, gonna go somewhere. And again, if my people who know lore, if that fucker starts turning purple, we have an issue on our hands. If you know, you know. Yeah, and I agree. The girl who played Charlotte, even for the short time she did, I think that was very well done. And I love that there's little Easter eggs like that where like, oh, I see this little girl wearing all black and a striped, sleeved shirt. I'm like, well, right off the rip, you know who that is. So, yeah, I don't know. There's big things happening. Oh, and his friend, the guy who played his best friend, of course, was hilarious. I don't even remember his damn name, but he was awesome. And that's, of course, where I got my quote from where he knocks fucking Michael out on his ass. He's like, where you going, jackass? Oh. Yeah, he was cool. Oh, wait. And Doug, the lawyer.
Yeah, I thought the cast was very good. I liked the additions that were made for the cast. I was a little bummed that we, yeah, well, we even got the cab driver back too for that one little scene. But yeah, you have Mckenna Grace in here. I figured that was the I was hoping she would have a bigger role, and I left kind of miffed that it seemed like they just threw her in there because she's a lot more famous now because of Ghostbusters, and she was on Young Sheldon and all that. But I actually ended up kind of liking the way they used her. Now you can see her supposed dead body laying there. Charlotte has done using her, but I wonder if there's an opportunity to bring her back at the end. But I did end up liking the fact that they didn't just put this new person in there because she's famous right now and kind of let her run the show. That seemed to me like a much smarter thing to do for the story. But yeah, Charlotte's the one that kind of steals this movie. Every movie is like this are as good as their villain. They're as good as the killer. And I found myself at many times kind of feeling sorry for Charlotte. I'm like, I hope there's some way out that what's her name can connect to her and like maybe help her see that she can move on to the next life, to heaven or hell or whatever, without having to cause all this chaos here in the mortal world. But it got to the point like halfway through the movie, I'm like, no, this chick just wants to kill people. I feel bad for how she ended up in that position, but now her soul or whatever it is, her spirit is just broken and just wants to kill people. So I'm like, no, she's a straight up bad guy now. And having a murderous child, even one that is in astral form that is possessing a marionette doll, there is something terrifying about a murderous child because you just don't see it very often, even in a lot of horror movies. So she does kind of steal the movie for me. Especially when she takes over, what's her name at the end? The little girl.
Abby.
I know it's not right. But especially when she takes her over at the end, I was like, holy shit. That's a wild look. That's a wild thing to see on screen. I was like, I dig that. That was one of the spots where it does dig into horror really well. Because like when she takes over Mckenna Grace's character, the look, like when she's running down the hallway after that guy, I'm like, holy shit, that's good horror stuff right there. And when she, like the one jump scare where it's like when Mckenna Grace turns to look in the hallway and you get that one quick like flash, blink and you miss a scene of her coming at the screen, that was a good jump scare. But when she takes over someone and kind of like runs their body, works through their body, that's the good stuff. And her, like I said, the spirit of a murderous child. That's just good stuff. That's stuff that you can't go wrong with. So I really do think that her character kind of runs away with this movie in a lot of ways because she is the great villain. But you have a great villain, you've got a great movie, and she is a great villain. But and I can't knock any of the rest of it. Like I said, Wayne Knight, again, kind of a glorified cameo, but fun. He like every now and again, a horror movie will give us one of those deaths that is really, really satisfying, and him getting his head squished that was really satisfying. But one of honestly the best character to me, I mean, what's her name? I'm drawing a blank on her name.
Vanessa.
Elizabeth Lawley, is that her name? The actress's name.
Oh.
Her character is broken after Vanessa. Her character is broken after the events of the first movie, and it makes it really, really clear in this movie that she is just not right. And I think it's really, really cool. We'll get to the end of the movie in a minute, but I thought that final scene where some of the truth that she has not yet told them comes out, and there's some tension, obviously, and Josh Hutcherson and his sister decide to walk away from her. They're just like, we can't trust you, we can't get with you right now, and how that scene ends, like right there, you kind of see that scene. There's a little foreshadowing of it right there, but just how messed up she is. That's one of the things that drives a lot of the emotional weight of the movie. because in the first movie it was Josh Hutcherson and his sister and their particular situation, the stupid aunt that was acting like a twat, things like that. This time the emotional core of the movie really does center around her for most of the time, and I thought that was that was a good switch for me. I thought that was really good to do, and she is probably the most interesting emotional character of the entire film. That's what I thought. I think she did a good job conveying all that stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of great character work in this. The writing I thought was really good for characters as well. But let's get into the plot now, and this is where I'm going to lean a little bit more on Rachel to kind of make some comparisons between the game and the movie and where we're at in either one at one time or another. I'll go to you first, Jeremy. What do you think of the plot of the film? Did it work for you, or is there anything you would have changed?
It does work for me. Like I said, it feels like a pretty good continuation from the first movie where we left off there. Even if we did just kind of yada yada past, like, yeah, Vanessa got stabbed, didn't she? And she was like laid up in the hospital in a coma or some shit. But now she's fine doing spin classes and seeing the ghost of her father in the mirror. So good for her. But yeah, and this one again, now we're as I say for sequels, go bigger and expand. So if anyone doesn't realize, there's not just one Freddy Fazbear's. So we're kind of expanding the world to now include the original, and I'm sure we'll get to sister location, stuff like that. I don't know. There's a lot of wild. I don't really even understand. I do love that there was a joke towards security breach. Like you see it in Chica's eyes, like when she's scanning the crowd. I'm like, her eyes say security breach. That's one of the games. I get the reference. But speaking of security breach, I mean, I will say that I do like these movies for the fact that they've at least explained Vanessa more than the games that were fucking dead. So whatever mess of like whatever security breach even was, I mean, I'm not saying it was a bad game, but like, man, it was. I've played some buggy, broken games, i.e. what we're going to talk about next week, which was, Fallout, but those have a certain charm and it kind of leans into the game, and Bethesda leans back. I'm like, right, but I'm like, dear God, that game was so broken, and I wish it just hadn't been, because I kind of wish, because me and her played it, and I wish we'd actually been recording it, because we actually broke the game, and somehow we like skipped past an entire section and somehow triggered something to get an ending, and we're like, wait, why are we here? What's happening? Why is this? How did what? Hey, whoa! Why did Freddy just die? What happened? What? All right, well, credits roll. That was fun. I was like, even Charlie Day can't make this shit make sense. I was like, what? Okay, and then we realized like there was some major game breaking thing we did, and somehow it was very easily done. So that should not be, that should not have been done. You jump over the wrong gate, and you trigger the ending. So it was weird. But like I said, I do like that we delved more into Vanessa, because that is kind of we're gonna get into the backstory of like with Afton, and I hope for a little bit more of a Henry, because we obviously know what his motivation is and his connection to the whole story, losing his daughter Charlotte, basically because of Afton, this whole thing getting swept under the rug. So you have this duality of these two guys. So that was cool, and we got to see a lot more of the animatronics. Like obviously we got to see the OGs, we got to see the toy versions, and I believe those were the ruined versions. See, I'm good. Of the like 85 versions of these fucking animatronics I'm glad I got that right. Yeah. So we saw like the ruined versions of them too. And we also saw a quick cameo in the dream that we saw the animatronic of Baby inside the closet. So again, sprinkling the little Easter egg crumbs in there. Like I said, I liked it. So and it has a lot of room for sequel potential. So fingers crossed. And like I said, my thought was, like, when we were talking about it, maybe it's not the best comparison, but maybe we go like the Harry Potter route, if you know what I'm talking about, like the first two, where there's trolls, there's big snakes and scary shit in this wizarding world, but then it's like you notice, yes, it is a different director, but there's a tonal shift, like in 3 and especially 4, when the shit gets fucking real. When Voldemort comes back, and it's like, oh, this isn't like kids anymore. I mean, they're still teens, but it's like then the shit gets real. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of gradually moves into that where it's like, yeah, now we're at this point. So hopefully that's where these go. I think we're in a good middle ground. So thumbs up. Oh, and it used video game elements pretty well in that. I meant to say that too. It did sprinkle in a lot of the funny, like, he pulls up the mask. He's like, "That's not gonna work," and it's like, "No, that will actually work, dude." Funny story about that. So yeah, good use of the game mechanics too, as goofy as they may seem. So, okay, now I'm done. I promise.
Rachel, how about you? What are your thoughts on the plot? I mean, how does this compare to where we kind of are in the second game? I know you said different universes, so maybe there's not going to be a one-for-one comparison, but what do you think of the plot of the film? Did it work for you? Is there something you'd have made more like the game?
So the plot did work for me. I think that it does differ quite a bit, but it is similar in a lot of ways as well. It differs in the way that there's more of a storyline with, Vanessa. Obviously, Vanessa doesn't exist in this universe yet in the games. Vanessa does, well, she does and doesn't. She isn't introduced to us in the games until Security Breach.
Oh, right.
She isn't properly introduced to us until way, way later. So she doesn't exist. But basically, I like the plot. I think that I like the story. When it comes to the game, you're basically plopped down into the original, well, not the very, very original, but the location, the Five Nights at Freddy's location, in which you have those ruined animatronics and those toy animatronics. And you're plopped into that office where Mike is at near the end of the movie, and you are basically trying to avoid those toy animatronics, those ruined animatronics, the puppet, and or the marionette and Balloon Boy, which you see him tear the head off of, which is hilarious. And Mangle. And Mangle, of course, which is the Foxy animatronic, the pull apart and put back together animatronic. I liked that part. That part of the movie is most like the game, where you are on the computer and trying to do stuff, and they're coming through the vents and they're coming down the hallway. You have to flash your flashlight at them. You have to put the mask over your head for some of them, and it doesn't work for Foxy like it did in the movie. That part is what's most like the game. So that was probably the most fan servicey part of the whole movie. That specific part right there. As for the rest of the plot, obviously they have to continue on the story from the first movie to kind of move the story along. You play mini games in the second game when you die. So there are little mini games where you're being led through an 8-bit Five Nights at Freddy's pizzeria. You're being led by each of the animatronics, and you try to go into the secret room, and then there's an error, and then you get killed over and over again by each animatronic. They come and kill you. And then you find a purple guy, which is either William Afton or Michael Afton. I do not remember which one off the top of my head. And eventually, it has to be William. No, it's William. It has to be William. Because eventually, when you get through the secrets, and this is game spoilers, when you get through all of the secrets, you as the child, once you deliver, I believe, cake or something.
Or pizza.
Or it's a pizza? It might be pizza. To all of the children, you can actually shove William into the animatronic suit, and he dies because the spring locks go off. That's what happens in the second game, in the little mini game area. So what happened in the first movie when he got shoved into the animatronic suit actually happens in the second game. in the little mini games. So that's kind of the lore of the game versus the lore in the movie, if you want to go off of that. Now, the lore with Charlotte kind of happens in the books. So in the books, you kind of learn more about Charlotte being Henry's daughter and Henry working with William Afton in the very, very first Five Nights at Freddy's, which was actually called Fredbear's, which is like before this Five Nights at Freddy's location, which is what they're calling the original Five Nights at Freddy's location in this movie, where they worked together and made animatronics together. And then, eventually William ends up killing Charlotte like he did in this movie. And she was killed before the 5 others were killed. So there's a little bit of difference in timeline here between the books, the games, and the movies. Like I said, they're all different universes, but they have similarities. So it's kind of a grab from here, grab from there, mix them together, kind of a thing going on with lore. So I like the plot because it is mixing everything up and kind of putting it in a different order. But it still makes sense to me anyways. It still makes sense. Other people who know the lore a little bit better than me, it may be a little frustrating in a way to some, but I think it's working really well. Just having this new line of lore coming through. I think it's interesting how the marionette. I really liked the one scene at the beginning where Charlotte dies and then the marionette comes back up and is carrying her. I just really liked that scene. I thought that was really cool, the symbolism of that. Speaking of that, but at the end of the movie, I did want to touch on that really quick too with the plot. I did want to touch on the after credits scene really quick. I know we're probably going to talk about that, but I do want to touch on that because there's lore there too with the game. So in the after credits scene, they're talking about gathering stuff from the Five Nights at Freddy's original location for a horror attraction. Now, the third game is a horror attraction game. So I think that they're really setting up for that, like you were saying, Jeremy, about the third movie really ramping it up. I think if they're planning on doing the third movie based on a horror attraction, I think that they're planning on, they have to be, they're planning on really ramping it up, because if they're going to base it on a horror attraction, I mean, they're really going to have to ramp up the horror elements. I think that the third movie, they're really going to have to ramp up those horror elements if they're planning on basing it off the third game, because the third game is in a haunted attraction.
True.
So that's my little tidbit on that. So I'm sorry if I'm jumping ahead there, but I just wanted to mention that as well. So those are my thoughts on the plot when it comes to being versus the game versus the movie versus the books. So sorry if I rambled for a while there, but
you're making it make sense. So that's helpful.
I'm glad to have you here to do it because you know so much more about it than I do. Yeah.
I mean, Scott Cawthon's also writing it.
Question already, but which one do you think they pulled more off of in this film? Was it the books, game? Because they're obviously quotable. Yeah. Which one do you think they pulled off of the most?
I think, oh man, because they pulled a lot from the games, but they did pull more from the books on this one than they did the last one. Yeah. That's a hard one.
What?
I feel like they may have pulled more from the books on this one, but I don't know, because they see.
I mean, they do make a joke. Sorry.
They do. I mean, like in the first one, the only thing I really remember that they pulled from like a book, so to speak, was well, I guess you do see the ball pit, which Into the Pit is like its own thing now too. But there's like a shot where Abby's running through that arcade, and you see Foxy in the background. She's hiding up against one of the arcade machines, and I'm like, well, that's the cover of that Silver Eyes. So like that's a cover of the book. It's a reference to like, hey, there's a visual shot of like one of the books. So I'm like, lore wise though, you think you may be right. It might be more. I mean, yeah, obviously the sprinkled in bit was obviously like, yeah, each movie has at least shown like here's how the game, how you play the game in this particular, or in this movie, how you play the game and what we're trying to portray. So it's at least there, but they have their own storyline going on, which I said, like I said, is being written by the guy who made the game in the first place, by Scott. So, you know, I can't really be mad about it. It's coming from his own brain. So, yeah.
Well, our friend from the Lone Star State's making his opinions known. Tex just chimed into the chat and said he watched Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Hutcherson is still terrible. I don't really agree with that. First 2 acts were boring. I don't really necessarily agree with that either. Kills were lame. It's what happens when you try to make a G-rated horror movie. Willy's Wonderland is still the best Chuck E. Cheese movie, but the people wearing FNAF clothes seem to enjoy it. Well, honestly, that's kind of the key demographic anyway. Is they're not necessarily trying to get the people who are hardcore horror fans like Tex. They're going after. They have a big enough fan base just in the Five Nights at Freddy's fandom themselves to make money at this movie, because this movie only cost $51 million. And it made 109. If it's got decent legs, it'll make money. It'll turn profit. Not everything has to make $1 billion to be successful. That's one of the things that people have kind of lost sight of. Not everything has to hit Avengers or Avatar level box office to be successful. If you keep the budget down, you can have a movie that makes $200 or $300 million, a fairly modest amount compared to a lot of movies these days, and still be very successful. And I think that's kind of what they're going for. Because there's plenty of people out there that are big fans of Five Nights at Freddy's. My stepdaughter is one of them. She's going to be going to see the movie this weekend. She loved the first movie, loves the bits of the videos that she watched. She's played the game a couple times, I think. She's read some of the books.
The games are
that's
hard.
The market demographic right there.
Yeah. Games are very difficult, by the way. They're hard. They are hard games. We have only beaten the one, which is unfortunately,
did we though?
We sort of beat it.
I think we broke it.
We broke it.
Beat it.
That one was a little buggy. Security Breach was kind of buggy, but I've tried to play the other ones, and I cannot beat any of the other ones. Not saying I'm super proficient in video games like that, but they are difficult games to beat. I prefer watching other people play them, to be honest. I'm more into the lore than I am actually playing the video games themselves. But speaking of Willy's Wonderland, that's a great movie.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't just just because it's Nicolas Cage doesn't mean it's shut the fuck up.
Let's see, what did I have?
It's not like the movie is not trying to be Terrifier, like obviously. Jesus, man, it's like I said, it's made for the fans of the. Trust me, if you're a fan of the series or of the movie itself, or especially the games, it's like, trust me, you'll enjoy this. Like I said, even my little peanut brain, who understands a mild understanding of how this works, I still enjoy it. And I'm like, ooh, I got excited when I'm like, yeah, I know what that means. Or holy shit, that's Michael Afton. That's fucking important. Like, oh my god. And then like the third at the end when the end credits, I'm like, yeah, right. Are we setting up for 3? And also. Seeing Afton again in the suit, and I like that again. We're at least doing something with Vanessa, because I'm like, well, she starts running around in a bunny costume, which again, that's a security breach thing. I'm like, it's interesting having her being overtaken by the marionette now. So I'm like, that's actually an interesting twist that I like. And like I said, this is doing more for Vanessa, whatever character. Blonde-haired security guard woman person than the games did, because again, Security Breach was a fucking broken mess, and we did kind of like, okay, we're gonna bop along to this next game now, where now there's a mimic that can beat any of the animatronics. I'm like, that is fucking horrifying, and I don't like that mechanic. That's not okay, but great game. So I don't know. Continue.
I was just going to also say I am excited to see it in the third, which I assume from the end credits scene, the third game, or the third movie, excuse me, that would have involved a lot of William Afton.
Or Matthew Lillard.
Yes. So that I would be excited to see, because he is the main protagonist in that game. So he would, in the third one. Antagonist, excuse me. Not protagonist.
He is not a good man.
No, he is not a good man. Antagonist, excuse me.
He's very bad.
Yes,
bad
antagonist. So that will be very exciting to see.
Yeah, let's talk now about the But let's move on now and talk about the post-credit scene. You've already alluded to it a little bit, Rachel. The ending and the post-credit scene. For one, I really love the ending. I thought that was a very well-done ending, especially when it comes to sequels setting up and all that. I love the ending. Let's talk about the ending first. Rachel, what do you think of the ending? Definitely a bit of a cliffhanger, bit of a shock. Leaves us wondering what the next movie is going to bring. What do you think of the ending of the film?
I mean, it was sort of shocking a little bit with, having, having Mike and Abby being like, we stay away from us. We can't trust you, to Vanessa. I mean, obviously they have every right to feel that way. She didn't tell them about Michael. And obviously that's kind of a big deal. I mean, Michael being a security guard, her not telling them about the other location, her not telling about all these things is kind of like, you should have probably told them about all this stuff because they're involved with all this stuff. I think that ending was good, because it's nice to have movies where everything isn't wrapped up all nicely with a bow at the end. It's nice to kind of leave on a sort of a cliffhanger in a way. So I really liked the ending of this. It leaves you kind of wanting answers to some questions, and it leaves, that opening for a sequel. And I already did kind of share my thoughts on that end credits scene, so I won't repeat myself necessarily in the sake of time.
Yeah, it's the Empire Strikes Back ending. It's Han and Carbonite. It's the good, but the war is still obviously ongoing, and there is still a lot that needs to be worked out before you can call anything a win or a loss. Jeremy, what do you think about the cliffhanger ending? I thought it was very well done.
Yeah, I did not expect that. I don't know why. I kind of like, to me, it was just like, I mean, it was like, there's your climax of your movie and everything's now kind of been taken care of. And I don't know why we didn't, I think Michael pulled a Michael Myers. All of a sudden, he's just fucking gone. I mean, this dude knocked him out in the front lawn, and I'm like, wait, where's Michael? Again, that's important. Where is he? But I mean, like I said, if that ain't a fucking like horror antagonist right there, I mean, that guy, like I said, I'm excited for that. But when we get it, like they can't trust Vanessa at this point, because I get that she's broken and she's going through some shit, because obviously, if William Afton was your father, yeah, you'd be a little messed up too. So I can understand where I can't understand where she's coming from, but you know what I mean? I'm saying I get her character not like, you wouldn't be as open as you would probably want her to be. But at this point, like you said, there might be some things she might want to mention, because if we're getting this deep into this kind of, into the story of like what actually happened with Afton, with Henry, with everyone else, maybe there's some things you should mention. But and then they tell her like, hey, look, stay away from us. We're not cool anymore. And I don't know why, to me it felt just like abrupt. I was just all of a sudden like, oh, we're doing that's credits. Oh, what? I don't know. Weird that was just like, oh, all of a sudden now she's the marionette, or like whatever remnants of Charlotte's soul just took her over. I was like, oh shit. But also I was like, well, that was fast. Okay. I don't know. To me, it seemed kind of abrupt in a weird way, but I was a little excited for that, because I'm like, cool. Now that adds a new layer of this. I don't know where we go from here, with her still in the loose, especially as the marionette now. My only thing about the end credits thing, I don't know if they're. I would hope they don't jump the gun because, like I said, I think Baby doesn't show up till 4. Correct? Yeah. So to give some, well, I'm gonna say give context, like I know what I'm talking about. But the animatronic she sees in her dream inside the closet when she hides, the baby animatronic. Now she's an ice cream machine, correct? So I don't know if they may just kind of jump the gun a little bit and put her in 3 because I'm like, well, an ice cream machine in a haunted attraction. I mean, yeah, that sounds like it makes sense. That's what that one does. So, unless they are maybe setting it for a 4, which I mean, I don't know if they're going that far out. I don't remember if Matthew Lillard had said something about having like a 3 movie deal or something. At least last I heard. So, they may just throw that in, but still, it's its own timeline. So I'm okay with the little Easter egg. So. Yeah, and with it being in a haunted attraction, I mean, yeah, it's the next logical step, right? So that's exciting.
Yeah, let's move on now to the obvious post-credit scene, the obvious setup for whatever's coming next. I'll go to you first, Rachel. I mean, the post-credit scene I thought was interesting. I found myself kind of annoyed because I was like, I should have got that. I felt like I should have got it in the movie to make it that much cooler. But I get why they waited for the post-credit scene to set it all up because you want the third movie and all. But what do you think of the post-credit scene? And does it give you an idea as to where the third movie might go?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it goes right into that third game. I mean, they're going to tear down the original location, like they said, and they're going to they take William Afton and in his suit as he's decaying inside of there. His spirit lives on. He will be back.
He always comes back.
He always comes back. And they're gonna start up that horror attraction that they're talking about, and somebody's got to be the security guard at this horror attraction, and something's gonna happen. I'm not quite sure how they're gonna do it though. I'm not sure how Mike and Abby and Vanessa are gonna be involved in that. I'm not sure exactly what they're going to do with them and how they're going to be involved, with this. I'm not sure exactly how the story of them continues with this horror attraction, but I know there's going to be a horror attraction because they set it up that way. So I think that they are definitely going in that direction though, because that is the third game. The third game is basically you're a security guard in this horror attraction, and they talk about having found a real animatronic from the original location, and that's the one they found there. So that's I think where we're going. I'm just not sure how everything else fits in.
I don't know, Jay. What do you think? Definitely a good deal of setup. What do you think of the post-credit scene, and where do you think it might go?
Yeah, it's definitely a good setup. That, like, again, if you know, and you know what's coming. God, see, maybe because I'm trying to do more movie here. I'm like, I'm not quite sure game wise what would make sense, but like movie wise, I'm like, you definitely had to bring Michael back into the fold somehow, because you don't just introduce that character, especially someone like that, and that just kind of be, the end of that. Since now he's, I guess, out of a job since the location's getting torn down, and that's, I said at some point, like I said, him and William are going to have to cross paths. I know he's dead, but his spirit lives on, like you said, like he always comes back. And he is kind of the if that isn't like the most Scream thing you've ever heard of, I know it's Matthew Lillard. Like, oh look, now I'm going to be the new Ghostface. Like now I'm going to be the new purple guy. Like obviously, so I don't know if like these guys they probably don't know who this guy is, who they're dealing with. Like Michael maybe somehow ends up there, and like I said, there's got to be some crossing of paths of him and his now decaying father at some point. And like I said, I think they might. Who was Baby? You got to help me out.
So Baby, okay, so
Sorry, I know what I asked a big question.
So Baby is supposed to be Michael Afton's daughter.
Okay.
Which is why this is a little convoluted. Because originally he had a daughter named Elizabeth, who he made Baby for. And in Sister Location, Baby accidentally or not accidentally engulfed Elizabeth. I'll just put it that way.
Okay.
And then Michael is in Sister Location as a security guard trying to figure out some things for William. I'm trying not to like spoil way too much about everything, about things that might come way down the road. But yeah, baby was supposed to be Elizabeth, essentially, which is William's daughter. That's why I'm not sure exactly where they're going from here with some of the movie things, because they could be changing a whole bunch of stuff as we move forward. So, yeah, Baby is originally supposed to be Elizabeth's animatronic. Okay. If we go by the games. If you go by the books, there's something else different too.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Could they combine a couple different things?
Easily, yes.
That's what I'm thinking. Is I'm like, it's not going to be word for word, but I'm thinking it's got to be. It's somewhere. It's got, because like I said, I'm hinging on that line of him saying like, I'm going to continue what my father was doing. So I feel like maybe that might be the path of the third movie, like him. Like he may come across this haunted attraction and find his dad. I don't know. He seems to be pretty set on that path of continuing what he was doing. So, actually, there's something else we're kind of leaving out. There's kind of a post scene. Like we hear Henry make that recording. Now, of course, there's been about like 15 different Mikes or Michaels or any variants of whatever the fuck in this series. So I'm like, I want to believe he's talking to Mike, as in Josh Hutcherson's character, but I'm like, I don't know if maybe is he talking to Michael? Because like you could be, I don't know, because you had that recording of him saying, what do you say? Like I'm trying to get all this stuff put together before, and then it sounds like something came after him, and he says like, okay, hey, quick, get out. So that's also something to take into consideration. Like I said, I don't think this last we see is Skeet Ulrich. At least I hope not. Oh.
Yeah, I don't have any desires one way or another what to see. I just hope they progress the story. I have a feeling like I would take kind of like a really cool element from the book and a really cool element from the game and haven't existed in the same place and combine them into one really cool element that would make this third film really pop off. It's hard to say what they might do because I don't know how many more movies they want to make. Do they want to make 8 of these? Do they want to make them as long as they're profitable? Do they want to stop at 3, which is what I think every franchise should do at this point? It's hard to say how ballsy they're going to get because I feel like they would want to say something for this film. My guess is they've already alluded to the whole, this guy's building the haunted thing. Obviously, something is going to go sideways. Matthew Lillard's character of his spirit or whatever is going to find its way back to the world of the living, and it's going to cause some chaos. And obviously, there's some personal things that need to be tied up with Vanessa and stuff like that. We haven't seen Charlotte die exactly. She just ran away or took over Vanessa. So she's still in play. as well as William. After it's like there's so many things that are kind of like on the bubble. All these things are going to have to collide at one point and make some crazy happening. So I feel like that's kind of what the whole movie is going to build up to, which is kind of cool. I kind of dig that idea. How they do it, I don't really care as long as they do it. But let's get into I didn't find much trivia in this because obviously the movie is very new and there wasn't much to find by way of trivia anyway. But there was some a couple of cool things. After I find some pictures, I'll do this one. Why not? Because I haven't used this one yet. Let's see. In the movie, Withered Foxy is not fooled by the Freddy mask. This reflects the gameplay of the second game. Rachel, is that true? Not having played the game.
Yes, that is true. Foxy does not get tricked by the mask.
Actually, I did have that shot here somewhere. I could have swore I had that shot up here somewhere. I don't know what the hell I did with it. Maybe just losing my damn mind. Anyway.
It's not like all these shots are so damn.
I could have swore I had a picture of him looking through the mask, but I guess I didn't have it. But let's see. Yeah, I didn't label these like I try to label them, but whatever. Well, let's see. I don't have I haven't had a chance to use this particular picture yet. What the hell I do with it? One of the cooler visuals of this entire
definitely
movie.
Scream.
Let's see. Skeet Ulrich says that he was able to bring up his own interpretation to his character, as Henry Emily has never been visibly represented in the Five Nights at Freddy's universe until this movie. He stated that one of his recommendations was to show the character as an 80s nerd and giving him a hoop piercing on his eyebrow. Per Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard, everyone loved the idea, though it eventually got nixed by the higher-ups.
Wow, that's rude.
Whatever. I mean,
Damn.
I actually like the way that his character was presented in the movie anyway.
Oh, yeah. You can tell he's still shaken up about this whole thing. It works.
But I really should have restarted. Oh, yeah. And that is one of the cooler shots in the movie, too, him standing there with the knife. Let me see. And the only other piece of trivia I have is really more about the budget. Let's see. I talked about it already. With a budget of $51 million, this marks the most expensive Blumhouse production to date, surpassing the first Five Nights at Freddy's, which had a budget of $20 million. They seem to spend a lot more money to essentially get the same movie. Not that I necessarily mind, but you spend a lot more money to the same movie.
Well, there's like 3 sets of animatronics now, and I know they did take a lot of care to make the animatronics look the way they do in the game. Like, I think from the first movie, I heard they even pulled like the actual game files and used that to design the suits so that it'd be as accurate as possible. I'm like, well, I appreciate that. And I mean, it wasn't was it Jim Henson's Creature Shop is the ones who did it? So I mean, again, of all fucking people to work your puppetry and animatronics for these things, I mean, that's like if I ever got fucking Ben Burtt to do my sound stuff and fucking Rick Baker to do my special effects and John Williams to make my score. It's like, goddamn, yeah, I would take all of you. Let's go. Let's make a fucking banger of a movie, So I think they put in the right places because those animatronics look slick.
Yeah, I think they look great. I mean, they really look like they're supposed to.
Jim Henson's Creature Shop came back and did these again.
You can tell.
Awesome.
You can tell.
Yeah, the folks over at Jim Henson's Creature Shop, they really know what they're doing. Yeah. Yeah, there is this weird signature look for the Jim Henson stuff. I mean, it's not just that when Jim Henson was alive and doing it, but like that whole shop has a really distinct way of putting their signature on a lot of things. And it's really cool to see them go from like doing, Kermit and Miss Piggy in the Muppet Show to doing scary stuff like this. You can still make it look like a Jim Henson thing, but make it so scary. But then again, I guess it's not a big surprise because they did things like Dark Crystal back in the 80s and things like that. So maybe it shouldn't be too much of a surprise. I totally forgot about that movie until recently. Let's see. That is all the trivia I have for that. Probably a good place to start wrapping things up anyway. Let me get your guys' final thoughts on the film. I'll start with you, Jeremy. Give me your final thoughts on Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
Oh, you start with the pleb, huh? Okay. No, it's fine. Like I said, critics be damned. I actually I enjoyed it, kind of being like a casual, observer of this this universe and its multiverses therein. Being that my real source of it is, I've watched, Let's Players, of course, Markiplier, who I'm still kind of sad was not in this movie, at least to my knowledge. But he's working on his own horror movie, which is now finally officially goddamn happening. I don't know how many times he said soon, and I'm like, dude, you've been saying soon for the past 10 years or whatever. I don't know. But I get it. He was busy. That's fine, and I hope your movie's an absolute fucking banger. I'm sure it will be. We'll see in January. I believe it's January. But I've sat and I've watched. I think me and some friends got together and marathoned start to finish watching Markiplier play through all the games, at least up until that point. I think I don't remember when this was. This may have been about not quite 10 years ago, but 20 teens of some sort. So that's kind of my knowledge of it, and obviously just from her, just that's my piecing together of it's not quite a complete jigsaw puzzle, but it's the pieces are there enough to where I'm if I tilt my head to the side, I'm yeah, that does look like a bunny holding a knife, probably. So yeah, I enjoyed it, and I guess I enjoy this kind of new world that we're doing. And again, being written by Scott Cawthon, which I couldn't ask for better. So I like it, and I'm kind of excited. I'm excited for a third, which more than likely seems like it's going to happen.
Rachel, how about you? Give me your final thoughts on Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
I really enjoyed the film, and I think they did a really good job with combining elements from the book and the games and coming together and creating another good thing for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie universe. I really enjoyed it. I think that it'll be really interesting to see what they come up with next for the third movie. And I'm really excited to see that when it comes out, because I have no doubt they will make another one. And I'm just really excited for that.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where the third one goes as kind of a casual fan, somebody who only knows the movies and has heard Rachel talking about it from time to time. I think the core of the actors are there. I like Josh Hutcherson. I think he does really well in this role. He is more than just that kid from Hunger Games. I like to see him get out and do some more different things. I like to see him carry something too. That's nice. I like the character interactions. I don't love the lack of horror, but I love the fact that they can be scary and not just rely on entrails being thrown everywhere. But it makes you concentrate a little on the story and make sure you have some good characters to carry the lack of blood and guts. But I'm interested. I'm interested to see where this goes. I like the supernatural haunted animatronics thing, especially having been someone who grew up in the Chuck E. Cheeses, and even back when I was 9 and 10 years old, thinking the animatronic Chuck E. Cheese was kind of weird. Never really wondering what would happen if it actually came to life and started killing kids. But still, I always thought they were kind of creepy looking. But I'm interested to see where the next one goes. I don't know. Again, I don't necessarily want them to make 17 movies. I kind of want the third movie to be the end. But I mean, if they're profitable and they're high enough quality, then by all means, shoot your shot. I mean, if you got a story to tell, then tell it. So we'll see what the third one brings. But ultimately, I was happy with the first film. I was happy with this, although I wanted to step up from the first one. It was actually still pretty good. I don't think the hate is justified. I've come to realize that this movie, it should be looked at less like a Friday the 13th or a Halloween or a Terrifier. It should be looked at more like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Like it's not going to be that kind of scary movie. It's going to be something else, something that's a bit more appealing to a broader audience, but is still in that realm of in the horror realm. It's not going to be that thing where, you know, Art the Clown is going and doing Art the Clown things to people's bodies. It's going to be something else. Not every piece of horror has to be that. It'd still be entertaining. I think this movie is entertaining, just at a different level than, you know, Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers and all that stuff. But I think it's a good movie. Don't trust the hate. If you really want to watch it, go to the theater and watch it while it's out there. Every movie is worth at least buying a ticket to go check it out. Go check it out. I don't. If you're a fan of the first film, you're probably going to like this film a lot of way. So worst case scenario, I think you're going to get pretty much what you want. Best case scenario, you're blown away by something that maybe I didn't see, and I really don't think there's going to be a worst case scenario. I think because movies now is a popular thing to do, but I think it's worth it. Theaters it's going to be there for a while. Thanks to my co-host for being so awesome, as always. Starting with Rachel joining us tonight, bringing us her expertise at everything Five Nights at Freddy's. Where can the folks at home find you?
Well, now that spooky season is over, I'm not really doing many TikToks, but you can go see the ones I did during spooky season of all of my makeup looks at Tin Septum on TikTok. I did quite a few good looks this year. I may be making some more maybe cosplay related TikToks or maybe some just random ones. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But that's where I'm at. Yeah. You could follow me on TikTok. I'm on Twitter occasionally, or X or whatever it's called now, at Tin Septum as well. Other than that, that's about it.
Every now and again, we get her to class to play stuff by coming and joining us for a movie review. A movie like this, we have to. She is so steeped in the Five Nights at Freddy's lore. I could not talk about this movie and not have her to make me sound really smart about Five Nights at Freddy's. And then my hetero life mate Jeremy. Where can the folks at home find you, my man?
I'm here Tuesdays and Thursdays doing whatever it is we do, which is I don't know. Are we doing Stranger Things again? Maybe, because then Fallout's coming out as well, and that's when we turn the car around, and now we jump into my autism spectrum of like I know pretty much everything and too much of for my own good about Fallout. So yeah, that's where I'm at. My name's the same on all platforms, and we actually went to a con, and I don't know, maybe check the email. I don't know if something's gonna happen. They were like, here, do you like have Facebook? Do you have YouTube? Do you have TikTok? And I was like, yes, I have all these things. And under YouTube, I was like, I don't have shit. Fuck it, I'll put the harsh truth in. So I don't know. It was a thing for like cosplayers to connect with each other and shit like that. So I don't know. I put it out there. And I guess quickly, I thought about doing some cosplay stuff as well, because now that the one big con that we go to is now come and gone, there's some other props and other things I might like to do, and I was like, I could just go live and just dick around and hang out with people if you want to come do that while I work on some props, or just do whatever. Maybe give me an idea for something I haven't even thought of yet. But speaking of that, real quick, I want to share two things. I actually got to meet Simon Pegg, who I can try to put this in frame. Signed. Oh God, I'm stretchy. Holy shit! I don't know what happened to the frame there, but shit, we got it. We got Sergeant Nicholas Angel signed, and I'm not even gonna get up. You can just see it. If you've noticed the sign I've always had in the background, right here, you'll notice there is a new scribble on the poster, and that would be the signature of Mr. Brian O'Halloran. I got Dante's signature, which is now forever on this poster in my background. That was cool. So I'll post pictures, but probably somewhere where it's none of your business. So I know. I'm a great content creator. So that's what I'm doing.
You should really look into getting that frame now, to be perfectly honest, just to protect it. It's got Brian O'Halloran's name scribbled across it.
Yeah, I might have to put that thing in some laminate or something. I don't know. Get a big frame for it.
As for me, you will see me back here in 2 days on Thursday, breaking down the Turnbow Trap, episode 3 of the 5th season of Stranger Things. I actually just watched it last night. Shit's starting to get even kookier over in the Upside Down over in Hawkins. Boy, talk about things popping off. I mean, there's some shit that happens this episode, especially the final scene is it's quite a scene. It brings a lot of things out. Cool episode. We're gonna break that down on Thursday, and then of course next week. Oh, is it next week? We're gonna get Fallout drops on Thursday. I don't know exactly when we're gonna do the first episode. I mean, it's on Thursday, so I don't know if we're gonna do it on Thursday. It might wait till Tuesday, but we may just bang out the last couple episodes of Stranger Things next week, and then go right into getting some Fallout done before the rest of Stranger Things drops. So it's gonna be a lot of Stranger Things, a lot of Fallout for the rest of the year. And then and there's some stuff that I'm trying to get together for the spring that I think you guys are going to enjoy. Bit of a collaboration with a couple people. I'm still working out some details, but hopefully we'll get that going in the spring. I'll start working on that. But we will be back here on Thursday to break down Stranger Things. Thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate it. Appreciate you, Rachel, for bringing your expertise. Always fun to talk to you guys. Adios. I mean, really just one, like, Terrifier style death would have killed him. I mean, can I see something get dropped on somebody? Can I see, like, an explosion of some kind?
I was hoping that when Matthew Lillard fell down, I'm like, is she going to bring the TV down on his head? That would have been kind of a funny joke. Or
is that the bite of 87?
Or she was going to shoot him again. Double tap. Remember what Sydney taught you.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.